It was supposed to be a simple weekend, just me and 4 of my closest friends, Mark, Jason, Tyler, and Dean, headed deep into the forest for some time away from everything. We'd done it before, camping off the grid, no signal, no distractions, just tents, trail mix, a warm fire, and the sound of trees moving in the wind. It always felt safe out there. Until this time. The spot we picked wasn't on any official map. Dean had found it years ago by accident, and we kept going back because it was always empty. No hikers, no other campers, just us and the woods. The trees were tall and thick, their tops forming a kind of roof over the clearing where we set up. The only way in or out was a narrow path that wound through the forest, just wide enough for one car to pass. We parked the van at the end of that path and carried our gear into the clearing. Everything felt normal. We built the fire, pitched our tents, and spent the day talking about life, girls, dumb stuff we did in college. Mark was quiet most of the time, but that wasn't unusual. He liked to just listen, to stare off into the trees with a half smile while the rest of us joked around. But something about him felt different that day. Maybe it was the way he kept glancing toward the van, like he was waiting for something. Night fell slowly, like a blanket being pulled over the sky. We sat around the fire eating jerky and marshmallows, sipping on cheap beer, letting the warmth of the flames and the buzz of the alcohol settle in. There was laughter, yeah. But underneath it, I think we all felt the same strange tension. Like the woods were holding something back. Like they knew something we didn't. Around midnight, Mark stood up suddenly, said he had to check something in the van. We barely looked up, just nodded and told him to hurry back. That was the last time we saw him, conscious. 10 minutes passed, then 15. Dean called out into the dark. No answer. I got up, grabbed my flashlight, and told the others we were going to look for him. We didn't panic yet, but we were definitely uneasy. Jason joked that maybe Mark had fallen asleep in the van. No one laughed. The woods were different that night. Quieter, thicker. The air felt heavier, like it was sitting on our chests. Every step we took felt wrong, like we were walking into something we weren't supposed to see. We reached the van. The door was unlocked, wide open, but Mark wasn't there. Then we heard it, a sound not far off, like a moan, soft, broken. We turned and followed it, pushing through bushes and low branches, leaves brushing our arms and faces. The sound led us to a clearing maybe 30 yards from the van. And there he was, Mark, collapsed in the dirt, unmoving. I dropped to my knees beside him. His shirt was torn down the front, soaked with blood. I pulled it up and felt my stomach twist. There were cuts, clean, deliberate slices on his abdomen. Not random, not like he fell, like someone had tried to open him up. Jason shouted. Dean cursed. Tyler stood frozen. Then we saw them, 2 figures at the edge of the trees, standing there, watching us, wearing hoodies with the hoods pulled low. I couldn't see their faces. They didn't move, not at first. And then they ran, vanished into the trees without a sound. We didn't chase, didn't say a word. We just lifted Mark, still unconscious but breathing, and carried him back to camp. My arms shook the whole time, not just from fear, but from this overwhelming feeling that we weren't supposed to have found him. Like we interrupted something. Back at camp, we tried to stop the bleeding. I wrapped his torso with a spare flannel. Dean kept watch with a flashlight, slowly turning in circles, scanning the trees. We didn't talk much, just listened, waited. Mark started to stir around 3 a.m. His voice was barely a whisper. Said they were trying to take something, but he didn't know what. Said he blacked out near the van, that he woke up on the ground. Said there were hands on him. Then nothing. I stayed up the rest of the night, sitting with my back to a tree, knife in hand, listening for footsteps that never came, watching the fire slowly burn down to glowing embers. At some point, I looked up and realized the woods had never fully gone silent. There was always a slight sound, a faint hum, like breathing, like something still there, just out of sight. By morning, Mark could barely walk, but he was stable enough to move. We packed everything in record time. Didn't even eat. Just stuffed everything in bags, tossed it in the van, and left. But it wasn't over yet. We had been driving for maybe 15 minutes when Tyler slammed the brakes. Right in the middle of the dirt path. We all leaned forward. Right there, laid out on the ground in front of the van, was all the stuff that had gone missing the night before. Mark's pocket knife, the small camp hatchet, 2 flashlights, even our backup first aid kit, all arranged neatly, lined up, perfectly straight. None of us said a word. Jason reached for the door. I told him not to. I don't know why. Something about it just felt wrong. We drove around it, kept going, didn't look back. When we finally got Mark to a hospital, the doctors said the cuts were precise, not random injuries, surgical even. But they couldn't understand why whoever did it had stopped. They said if we hadn't found him when we did, he would have died from blood loss. I think about that night more than I should. I think about the figures, the way they didn't panic, the way they ran without making a sound, the way our stuff ended up in the middle of that road, perfectly placed, like it was meant to send a message, like they wanted us to know something, but not everything. I haven't been camping since, and I never will again. It started like any other night shift behind the wheel. Just me, my cab, and a string of forgettable passengers, all headed somewhere slightly less miserable than where they'd come from. I was a few hours into my night when dispatch rang through with something unusual. A man was requesting a ride to the outskirts, past the edge of town, way out near the jungle road. That stretch of wilderness is usually avoided after dark. No streetlights, no houses, no gas stations. Just a single-lane road crawling between trees that seemed to grow thicker every year. But the man was paying in cash. Said he needed to be dropped off at the very end of the road. The fare was too good to pass up. When I pulled up, he was already standing outside. Middle-aged, average build, dressed clean but distant. There was something odd about him. Not threatening, just blank. He barely spoke during the ride. Only gave directions. And he never once looked out the window. We left the last paved street behind, the tires crunching gravel as we entered the woods. My headlights stretched into tunnels of trees, swallowing anything beyond the first few feet. The farther we went, the heavier the air felt. Thicker, quieter, like the forest was closing around us. He asked me to stop where the dirt turned soft. He stepped out without saying goodbye, disappearing into the jungle like he belonged there. I waited, unsure if he might come back, but the woods just stood still. Eventually, I turned the car around and started heading back. That's when the engine coughed. Once, twice, then died. Total silence. I was surrounded by trees, the windows fogging from my own breath. I popped the hood, climbed out, and checked the battery, loose connection. Nothing major. I tightened it and got back inside, more annoyed than afraid. But the second I turned the key, I saw him. A man. Not the one I'd dropped off. This one was staggering into the road ahead, straight into the beam of my headlights. His shirt was torn, soaked in blood. One arm hung useless at his side. The other reached toward me before he collapsed to his knees. And then to the ground. I froze. There was a sharp instinct in me screaming to help. But just as loud was another voice, deeper, darker, whispering. What if it's a trap? I stayed behind the wheel, gripping it so tightly my knuckles turned white. The man wasn't moving. His face was hidden, but I could see blood spreading under him in a slow pool. Still, he didn't cry out, didn't beg, didn't even lift his head. I opened the door, stepped 1 foot outside, but something in the air made me stop. The forest was dead silent. No wind, no insects, no movement. It was like everything around us was waiting. I stared at the man for what felt like a lifetime. The blood was wrong, too dark, too thick. like it had already dried, like it had been there long before I arrived. And the way he was laying there, not twisted in pain, not unconscious, just still, like he was expecting something. I whispered out, "Do you need help?" No response. Then, slowly, he lifted his head. That face. It was pale, gaunt, hollow like someone who hadn't eaten in weeks. But the eyes were open too wide, like they didn't belong on a human face. And then he smiled. Not a grateful smile, not relief, but a slow, creeping curl of the lips, cold and joyless, like he was playing a part. I slammed the door shut and twisted the key. The engine roared back to life, and I hit the gas. I don't know how fast I drove. Faster than I should have. Branches scratched the sides of the cab as I tore down that narrow road. I never looked back. Even when I swore I heard something behind me. Even when I felt eyes burning into the back of my neck. When I got back to the city, I parked in front of my apartment and sat there. The engine ticking as it cooled. My hands still trembling. And I realized I had tears running down my face. I told myself I did the right thing. That it wasn't my job to play hero. That it could have been a setup. That maybe someone else was hiding in the woods, waiting for me to step out. But none of that stopped the guilt. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, eyes wide, listening to every creak in the walls, every shadow across the floor. And in every one of those shadows, I saw him. Over the next few days, I checked the news constantly. There was nothing. No missing person. No body. No accident. No man found bleeding in the middle of that jungle road. It was like he'd never existed. But I knew what I saw. I knew the way the air changed. The way the forest watched. The way that smile burned into me like acid. A few nights later, I thought maybe I imagined it. So I drove back to the start of that jungle road. I didn't go in, just sat in the cab, engine running, staring into the dark. And I felt it again. That stillness, that waiting, like something was just beyond the reach of the headlights. Smiling. I haven't gone back since. But I still think about that man, or whatever he was, and the question eats at me. If I had helped him, would I still be here? Sometimes when I drive that last stretch of road just before dawn, when the world is half asleep, I slow down expecting to see him again, standing there, reaching out, smiling that smile, and part of me wonders if next time I won't be fast enough. This happened 2 summers ago, early August. Me, Griffin, and my friends Eli, Ben, and Owen went camping in the forests of Maine. We'd been planning it for weeks. Just wanted to get away from everything. No phones, no internet, just trees, stars, and silence. The spot we picked was deep, off any trail. We had to hike 2 hours just to reach it. The trail got thinner and steeper the deeper we went. Branches brushing our shoulders. Mosquitoes already buzzing in our ears. But it was worth it. Secluded, quiet, flat ground, surrounded by tall pine and birch trees, and a little stream nearby. We set up camp around noon, built a fire pit out of stones, hung our food up on a rope between 2 trees, set up 2 double tents, and 1 solo for me. Everything felt right. Fresh air, that thick forest smell, dirt, moss, sunlight slipping through the trees. That first day was good. We went down to the stream, skipped rocks for like an hour, then wandered a bit upstream, found a spot with smooth stones, cold water rushing over our feet. We laughed, talked about college, girl problems, dumb inside jokes from high school. We cooked instant noodles over the fire, ate beef jerky and trail mix until we couldn't eat anymore. The stars came out around 9. No city lights out there, so it felt like the sky had cracked open. Millions of stars, all watching. We stayed up late, maybe till 1 or so, talking, telling stupid stories, trying to scare each other with made-up stuff. But nothing we made up felt scary compared to what happened after. I woke up around 2 a.m. No sounds, no wind, just this pressure in my chest. Like something had reached into my dream and pulled me awake. I listened. No movement, no voices. I unzipped my tent, real slow, stuck my head out. The fire had burned down, just some glowing orange embers now, casting weak shadows across the campsite. And then I saw it, something tall, standing just beyond the tree line. Not far, 10 or 15 feet maybe, too close. At first I thought it was Eli, maybe stretching, or taking a piss. But it didn't move, didn't shift or sway, just stood there, facing us. I whispered, "Eli?" No answer. Then a little louder. Still nothing. I grabbed my flashlight, clicked it on, aimed it toward the figure, and just like that, it was gone. Not like it ducked or ran, just wasn't there anymore. I stared for a while, heart beating so loud I swear it echoed in the trees. But nothing moved. Told myself it was a dream, or maybe a weird shadow from the dying fire. Next morning, I didn't mention it. Felt stupid, like maybe I'd imagined it. Just nerves or a leftover dream. The day passed normal. We hiked a bit, went back to the stream, lounged around on rocks in the sun, took some dumb photos. No one said anything weird happened, but we were quieter than before, like we all felt something but didn't want to say it. That night, second night, we crashed around midnight. Around 3, we all woke up, almost at the same time, like a switch flipped. We heard something, twigs snapping, slow, one at a time, getting closer. Eli sat up, pointed, and whispered, "Do you see that?" We all turned toward the trees. It was there again, same shape, tall, just outside where the firelight ended. Like it knew exactly how far to stay to keep hidden, but still be seen. We didn't move, barely breathed. It didn't either, just stood there, watching. This time we all clicked on our flashlights, a dozen beams cutting through the dark. But the shape was gone. No rustling, no sound, just vanished. We rushed over, looked everywhere. No footprints, no disturbed leaves, no broken branches, just empty woods. We made jokes about it, nervous ones, called it the campsite ghost. But nobody really laughed. The mood had changed. The fun part of the trip was gone. Something wasn't right. Next morning, we noticed weird stuff. Our cooler had been moved, not opened, just dragged about 10 feet across the dirt, like someone had grabbed the handle and pulled. My boots were soaked, ice cold and dripping, like someone dipped them in the stream and set them back by my tent. Eli found a long tear in his sleeping bag. Perfect slice, clean, like from a blade. No animal tracks, no mud, no scratches, nothing that made sense. After that, we all started carrying our flashlights, even in daylight. Just felt better having them nearby. Night 3, we built the fire bigger, kept it burning strong. No one wanted to sleep first. Around 1:30, the forest went quiet again, like even the bugs knew something was coming. Then we heard it, breathing, steady, not loud, but close. It wasn't coming from any of us. It was coming from the trees. We turned slowly, and there it was again, closer this time, maybe 6 feet from the tents, almost at the edge of camp. Still just a shape, but this time, I swear I could feel its eyes on us, even though it had no face. We clicked on the lights, and just like before, gone. Every time, same thing. It never ran, never made noise. It was there, and then it wasn't. After that, my head started pounding. This pressure, like altitude sickness, like something heavy was wrapped around my brain. We talked about leaving, But we weren't gonna make it back in the dark. And no one wanted to move through those woods at night. Next morning, more signs. Deep scratches on trees. Long ones. Vertical. Way too high up for raccoons or even bears. One of the ropes holding our food had been sliced clean through. Like with a knife. Not frayed. Not chewed. We packed everything tighter. Kept knives in our pockets. We stopped talking. That night, everything changed. It didn't wait until we were asleep. Just after sunset, as the sky turned orange, we saw it again. But this time it was crouched low, half hidden between two trees, like it knew we were looking and didn't care anymore. It was closer, lower, almost animal-like. We stared at it. No one said a word. The fire popped, and it twitched. Eli whispered, "What the hell is that?" No one answered. Finally, one of us threw a flashlight toward it, and it was gone again. That whole night, none of us slept. We sat by the fire, backs together. Every sound made us jump. By dawn, we were already packing. No breakfast, no photos, just gear tossed together as fast as possible. Even as we hiked, we kept hearing something behind us. Snapping branches, shuffling footsteps, never fast, just steady, keeping pace. Twice I turned around. Once I saw it, far behind, but standing upright, still, watching, half behind a tree. I didn't tell the others. I didn't need to. We all felt it. We didn't say a word. The whole hike back was dead silent. We got to the car, tossed everything in, and just drove. We didn't talk until we were at least 30 miles away. We didn't go through the photos until the next day. Most were normal, us laughing, sitting by the fire, hiking. But then we found one, taken the second night. In the background, just past the trees, was something tall, taller than any of us. Dark, blurred, faceless, just standing there, like it had always been.